What's up, guys? I'm Zach Nava of Nava Reptiles, and welcome back to the channel. So this is a video that I honestly never, I wished I would have never had to make. But you guys know that I'm very transparent about everything that I've got going on, and cutting to the chase. One of my Retecs has got a pretty bad infection. Just to kind of give you some background on kind of like the timeline of events and how we got to where we're at. Checking on snakes as you do, seeing, who's, maybe needs a bedding change or, cleaning or just whatever. And I noticed that my male, have the world's only pair of 50% Selayar tiger het Renick ghost Retecs in the world. Checking, I was looking at the male, and he had just some little red spots on him, and I immediately panicked because reptile keepers know like those little red spots around like a head or neck area are usually pretty indicative of mites. And but I'm like, man, I haven't brought a reptile in almost a year. I haven't been to a show, but these things do happen. Anybody that says otherwise is lying to themselves. It can come in from outside. I mean, these things exist in the regular world. So anyways, I start kind of going through protocols to try to look for those things, and I'm checking all my other animals, and that was not the case. It definitely are no mites here. I will admit I have had mites. One time, it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was literally when I had one snake that I'd gotten from a reptile show. We knocked him out pretty quick, and I've never seen him again since. But anyways, getting back to this snake. So it was, again, it's my male Retic, and at the time he was still in a tub. I was in the process of still building his cage out for him. And so he was being kept still on coconut bedding, and he was getting ready to go into a shed, so I had been misting him. So again, seeing these little red splotches, I was like, okay, well, maybe I've just over misted his bedding and his skin is irritated, and that's where these little spots are coming from. Like maybe they're just little sores, the same way that you or I would get, skin, like kind of lesions or whatever, like if we were, stuck laying in bedding or something that was just like overly moist. So thankfully, literally when I caught it, it was actually, I think, if I remember right, I think it was the day that I was moving him into this enclosure. So I'm like, okay, I sent some pictures out to some breeder friends of mine, just like, hey, like, have you seen anything like this before? when it wasn't mites, like, what are kind of your thoughts? And they're like, yeah, I told them, my kind of theory about the bedding and maybe him just being overly wet. And they're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, dry him out, keep an eye on him, and like if it gets worse or something like that, like, definitely take him to the vet. So that's what I was doing, just kind of monitoring for a couple days. I left him in there overnight, on paper, obviously now that he's in that bigger cage, good and dry, no moisture or anything like that. And the little red spots seemed to go away after a couple days. Everything seemed cool. Nothing else weird was going on. Everything was fine. About 48 hours after that, again, I'm worried about him because, it's the first time I've ever had any kind of like weird thing going on with any of my snakes. And so I'm checking on him, and I noticed that now, the red spots are back, and he's got some swelling on one side of his jaw. So I'm like, okay, that's not freaking good. So go ahead and start trying to get a vet appointment set up. Well, now it's the 22nd or the 23rd of December. So obviously we're coming up on Christmas. I personally have always had a plan in place for if something like this happened. So like I had a vet that I knew I was going to call. Like I had what I thought was my protocols. Well, come to find out, the vet that I had in like my little plan that I'd put together, that vet no longer does exotics. But thankfully they were able to, I got a whole list. I spent half my work day that day calling around to every vet that claimed to be an exotic reptile vet in the state of North Carolina. Finally was able to squeeze in an appointment and get him set up. Unfortunately, it was going to be like, I think it was like 3 days later. His appointment was on Christmas Eve, so this was probably the 21st or like I said, 20th. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. By the time his vet appointment had rolled around, he was starting to look what we suspect to be septic. He had some blood in his eye. I don't have footage of any of this stuff, and I'm not going to film him. I'll consider maybe getting some shots of him for you guys so I can show you some visuals of what he's got going on. But again, the biggest thing for me was just to not stress him out. That's why I've had paper, and at one point I had cardboard just covering his cage, just to do everything I can to keep him relaxed. But those were kind of the initial things. And like I said, when I saw that he had blood in his eyeball, obviously I went full panic mode. He already has a vet appointment. Got him to the vet, and the vet said the same thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's septic from some sort of an infection. What the source of the infection is or was, we still don't know, and that's really, really frustrating. But she did go ahead and get him on a course of antibiotics, and I was feeling hopeful. The thing about septicemia is that once an infection reaches that point, for people that don't know, but septicemia, it's an infection of the blood, and that really doesn't happen until you've already got a previous infection that didn't get caught in time, and that's basically what it sounded like has happened. So that's kind of where we were at the start of what you're about to see me having filmed. So I think that kind of brings you guys up to speed. To fill you guys in a little bit on these snakes. So that kind of brings you guys up to speed on what's going on there. So this footage that you're about to see, like I said, is kind of right after that initial vet appointment. And I will fill you guys in at the end as far as like kind of what's going on with him now. So here we are. All right, guys. So as you can see behind me, I've got his enclosure covered up with just some Amazon cardboard. It's what I had handy to kind of do this quickly. Basically, I just wanted to make sure that he didn't have any added stress that was kind of unnecessary. So I've just kind of got his cage blacked out so he doesn't have to see me walking by, and because he is pretty reactive to me, I'm taking that as a good sign, that he's at least active. He's not being overly wildly lethargic. That would obviously be a lot more concerning. But I also do think that some of his reactiveness is obviously because he's very aware that he's weak right now. And so, obviously a snake in the wild or any predator in the wild, when they're ill, they're going to be much more defensive. So I'm kind of taking that as good and bad. So anyways, here in just a couple seconds, my dad finally just got home. I've been waiting on him to help me just in case I need him to help me kind of hold him while I give him this injection. This is the first time I'm giving him his injection since I've gotten him home from the vet. And so, like I said, I'm just going to kind of get him to just give me a hand just in case. But the plan, just so that before you guys even really see it, is to actually bag him. That seemed to work really well for the vet, and I think it makes a lot of sense because it will, again, just kind of take that stress of the situation away for him visually. He's not going to be trying to run away. And so I'm hoping that that's going to kind of be, again, just the least stressful and the easiest way for me to be able to kind of get a hold of him and do that. So like I said, I'm going to do my best to try to get a decent video of what this process is going to look like, and share this with you guys, and I'll keep you guys kind of posted. I don't know if I've said it already in the introduction, but he did go to the vet on, what was that, Thursday. And he's already had one shot of the antibiotics. So like I said, anyways, let's get into this. All right, guys. So this medication that he's getting is it's called Fortaz, I believe. I don't have the actual thing here with me, and this bottle is not very descript. But I am going to try to quickly show you. Just setting the syringe up right now. I've got rubbing alcohol sitting right here with me. I've also got some, again, a thing of betadine. I'm going to kind of get this ready quickly. I'm going to get him out, and again, I'm going to try to do this just as quickly as humanly possible. To be clear, I was instructed how to do this by the vet. This syringe is a little bit different than what I'm used to. Sorry, guys. I have used a syringe before to give myself some injections. Long story, back when I had a motorcycle accident, I was having to give myself some shots in the stomach every day. One thing that was suggested to me at one point was anytime you're using even these, should be sterile bottles, it's not a bad idea to wipe some rubbing alcohol on the outside of it just to make sure that there's no germs being transferred to the needle as I'm poking it through to draw what we are intending to draw. The instructions from the vet were to use this entire vial. Each vial is one injection. The reason I'm rushing also to kind of fill you guys in, Fortaz apparently starts to die at room temperature. is my understanding. I'm just trying to get most of the air. To let everybody know that's maybe not super familiar with this stuff. I know there's like internet stuff out there that says like, you know, you can't, like if you have an air bubble in there, like it'll go straight to your heart and it'll kill you instantly and this, that, and the other. That is not actually true. Well, depending on what you're injecting into. I think it can be a problem if you're going straight into the vein, but again, I'm not a doctor or a vet, but that's the way that I understand it, is that that's a little bit of a myth. I've got this tub here just in case he starts peeing. It just saves me from having carpet that I have to clean. So let's get him out and see what we can do. All right, guys, so what I've done is I've just bagged him up quickly, and I'm trying to kind of keep his head in the bag and really just get the part of him that I want to work with, which is the first third of his body, which is right here. And what I'm hoping is that, again, by keeping him bagged up and keeping him to where he can't see me, that it'll be as little stress on him as humanly possible, at least for this step. And again, I'm going to go in between the scales, which is right here, and I'm going on the side of his spine. Again, I'm not a vet, but I was given some very clear step-by-step instructions from one. And again, I have done injections before. If you're not comfortable doing this, I would recommend you seek a professional and go to an actual vet. She did offer for me to actually come in on Monday and have her teach me firsthand in person, but I felt it was better for me to go ahead and take it upon myself and do this rather than wait an additional 24 hours for him to actually be behind on his dosage, because today is the day that he's supposed to get his second injection. So here we go. Now, as you can see, he didn't even flinch. I mean, literally, he did not move, not in the slightest. So injection's done. That was easy enough. Again, for anybody that is going to be trying to do this, I would probably recommend this method. The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and pull him out of this bag. And unfortunately, I am going to have to grab him behind the head to secure him to do this part. But I do feel that it's a necessary step. So let's go ahead and do that. And again, the reason that I'm doing this part is I am going to try to use a little bit of betadine on a Q-tip, which is what I'm preparing right now. And I'm going to see if I can maybe find the tooth. If there is one, I'm going to see if I can find a tooth that has possibly come off and lodged itself. And perhaps that is what has caused this infection to kind of begin with. So I know, Bubba, I know you're not real stoked about this. And you guys can see, I mean, he is a absolute sweet animal. Thankfully, as I was raising him, I followed some advice by some other breeders that I've seen and been told and suggested a lot of times over the years, which was, as when he was a baby, basically, I made a point to do things like this with him. In other words, when he was a baby, I would do things like open his mouth. And the whole idea behind that is so that if a situation like this ever comes up and you need to get into their mouth to do something like this, at least it's not the first time you're having to do it. So I'm not seeing where there's a tooth in here. Again, this has unfortunately been here for a little while at this point, so if there was a tooth, I don't know how easy it would be for me to dislodge it, even if it was in there. Also, for just kind of throwing this out there, based on the research that I did, mouth sores, similar to what he has, are also another sort of symptom of sepsis, assuming that is what he has going on. And so it is possible that mouth sore has nothing to do with the initial infection.
it could just simply be a side effect, because with sepsis, unfortunately, that's kind of what happens, is that bacteria kind of runs rampant, and it will find any part of the body that it can to sort of get into. And create little pockets, and so it's possible that it's just that, and that there was never a tooth, to begin with. But that is really all I'm going to do for today. I do have, again, I don't know how much of this I've already talked about. I'm kind of filming this actually before I've even filmed the introduction to this video, but I have already a second vet appointment set up. The initial vet that I took him to. She's a great vet. She's phenomenal, and she has worked heavily with reptiles, but it's not her specialty. She is not a reptile specialist, and she was very clear about that. She was just the only vet that had any exotic experience, and she was recommended by a large exotic vet in the area. She was just the only one that could fit me in time, and I myself and her and numerous other people that I talked to were of the opinion that if he was as bad off as what we thought, that waiting until even a week from when I was calling, which was last week, was not an option. With sepsis, when it happens, it goes bad fast, and you will end up with a dead snake very fast. So it's not a game. It's nothing to be messed with. And so thankfully I was able to get him in the very next day. They were very helpful. And again, I may have already talked about this, but yeah, that's all I'm going to do for today. He's had his injection of his antibiotics. It's his second round. I did what I could to try to clean that sore in his mouth. Again, I didn't see any main site of where there would have been a tooth that entered into there or anything like that. So I don't know if that really did him any help, but it certainly is not going to hurt. Just because, again, that will kill any bacteria that's on the surface around that sore. So yeah, that's going to be it for right now. And like I said, I don't know if I'll do a follow-up to kind of close out this video. Depending on when this gets posted, I may have another update to come after this, but that's it for today. All right, so that was, again, that was kind of not day one, but day 1, day 2 or 3 after his first vet visit. He's still on antibiotics. He has had a second vet visit since then. Obviously, there was a few injections that he got in between when that initial video was filmed that you guys just watched, and now. And again, he's had a second vet visit since that. That I basically still don't really know what's going on. We don't believe it's anything viral, but I'm having him tested for a bunch of different things. They drew blood. They took a few different other samples. We still basically think that it was just an infection that unfortunately got really bad really quickly, and we don't really know what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. So I know you guys are gonna have a lot of questions, and as do I. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of answers right now. We've had some some blood samples and things sent out to Florida State University, I believe it was, is where my vet was sending those. Again, just to basically just tick off some boxes of things that it isn't, and just to verify that there's nothing that real crazy that I got to be concerned about, which again we don't think that that's the case, but yeah, he's alive, and he has eaten. He's not eating bigger meals. Normally he would eat large rats. He won't even eat mediums right now. I've left him in there overnight with medium rats and actually some weans, because that was the next smallest thing I had. I didn't have any small rats or anything else in between, but I did leave him some weans, which are I don't know, maybe 2 inches long. They're not big meals, but he's eaten 3 of those. I've been kind of giving him those every other day, just trying to give him some nutrients to work with those antibiotics and things, and just hoping for the best. But basically, it's from what the vet has told me at this point, outside of her being able to get a legitimate diagnosis, it does just kind of look like it's mostly an infection, and it's kind of up to him to fight it at this point. In some ways he's showing improvements, and in other ways, certain things are not improving. So I don't really know what's going to happen. I'll keep you guys posted. Obviously, I don't want to ever shy away from showing anything negative. I literally had people
tell me, and those people will probably be watching this, and I appreciate the advice that those people gave, like basically telling me not to post this, not to talk about it until I kind of know more about what's going on, that it might ruin me in the hobby, and start rumors and things like that, and that's fine. If that's the way that people want to take this stuff, but I think that it's pretty well documented here, and just with anybody that knows me, that I care about my animals. I take good care of my animals. This is the first sick animal I've ever had, and I've been reassured numerous times. As much as I still feel responsible, I've been reassured numerous times by every breeder that I know that has kept retics for any length of time, but including some people that have kept retics for longer than I've been alive, that unfortunately sometimes these things just happen. It doesn't matter how good your care is of these animals. Sometimes infections are going to spring up, and sometimes things just can't be reversed. Again, I'm hoping that's not the case. He's still alive. He's still trying to fight, and that's all I can ask for from him at this point. I'm doing everything that I can on my end. I think he gets his last injection of this run of antibiotics in I think 2 days from now, and I'll keep you guys posted. I'm again waiting on some information from the vet, waiting on some stuff to come back that maybe will give us a little bit more to go on in terms of like next steps. If there's another antibiotic that we can try, whether that's Baytril, if they want to go down that road, or just what have you. So I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, this is not an easy one for me to talk about. It's not an easy one for me to share, just in the sense that it just sucks. I think you guys know that I'm always pretty happy and upbeat and positive, really, no matter what's going on. And this has been one of the toughest things that I've had to deal with since keeping reptiles, or keeping any animals, is this. Because again, you just can't help but race through your mind of like, where did I make the mistake, and blame yourself. And I'm trying real hard not to do that. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, guys, leave me some love and some positivity down in the comments, or leave me some hate, whatever makes you feel better, I guess, at the end of the day. But I'm gonna keep moving forward. I've literally, I think, kind of famously said it in the past, like, man, if something happened to one of my animals, like I think I'd probably just throw in the towel and give it all up. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep pushing forward and keep taking care of all my animals, him included, and until. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I don't really want to get into that. But thank you guys for just following along and always giving me your time and attention and love and support. And I appreciate you guys. So hopefully he'll pull through this. Like I said, I'm certainly not going to give up on him. And the fact that he's eating and doing everything that he's doing, he's not giving up on himself yet either. So for as long as he wants to keep fighting whatever it is that he's dealing with, I'll keep helping him along with it. So like I said, thank you guys, and I'll keep you guys posted, and we'll follow up next week. Talk to you guys then. Zach, thank you so much for the support of my family and what you're doing, what we're doing here at Reach Out Reptiles with this unique pair of dwarf retics. It really helps me to support those things I love, such as honoring a great guy like Ben Renick and supporting the organization of US ARC. Can't wait to see these as they grow. Send updates. Signed, Garrett Hurdle. And then just has their genetics and origin on the back. And that's from his daughter, Riley. She offers a service for Garrett where she'll, for $10 per snake, she will handle them so that they are a little bit easier to handle when you get them, which is awesome. That is going to be the female, I believe. Sure. Smells like somebody might have had to go to the bathroom. Yeah, that's actually the female. What's up, bud? Hey, bud. Come here. Oh
goodness, you're beautiful. Look at those eyes. And for those that don't know, this is a 50% Selayar visual tiger het for Renick Ghost. And as far as where right now, these are the only two.